Alright, this might be controversial to say, but I'll say it anyway with my chest. I like musicals. I know, crazy, okay? I'm a sucker for the craft of musical theater and film. Which pains me to say, well, not really, but the new Mean Girls movie is not that good. I'm a big fan of the original movie, and I've listened to the original soundtrack and even seen the musical from my high school's theater production, but whatever, that's basically the same as Broadway. So basically, I kind of knew what was going to happen going in, but no amount of content could have prepared me for the most millennial mixed with Gen Z movie ever.
Beyonce.
Look, I don't want to go too hard in the comparisons with the older film. They're obviously going to take liberty when transforming a movie into a musical and then turn that said musical back into a musical movie for modern audiences. But anytime a movie is remade for modern audiences, it's 9 times out of 10 a sign of a desperate cash grab aimed at the wallets of fans.
Weird.
Luckily though, I'm in the range where I'm too young to be super attached to the old film and not too obsessed with the musical, so I can give a mostly unbiased opinion. And while I do enjoy musicals, I gotta say some scenes were super hard to watch. Like I physically cringed at all the scenes where Katie would burst into song and not in the way the filmmakers intended. There's normally charm in those types of scenes in other musicals, but that charm was severely lacking here. Maybe because it's cliche now, or maybe it's the casting. While I think most of the cast did a really good job, Katie's character could have been improved. Her singing sort of lacked emotion as well, and the coolest part about her entire character was the fact that she looked a lot like Jenna Fisher. Damien also could have been better too. He tried way too hard to be funny, and most of his jokes did not land.
We're concerned you're either doing drugs or having a toilet baby.
That could be said for a lot of the jokes in the movie, where the only reason why you would laugh is at how painfully unfunny the jokes are, and Damien stood out as the unfunniest. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't laugh at all or was entertained. Karen was definitely the funniest character in the entire movie, and oddly enough, I think she was improved from the original. However, all of the Gen Z jokes or TikTok references were so hard to watch and took me out of the immersion. And that's coming from a Gen Z kid, which is also a wild thing to say because you already have to suspend a lot of disbelief going into a musical film. And I have nothing but praise for this movie's Karen, but her Halloween song felt like pure brain rot. That whole sequence was a sensory overload, and the dancing was wild, and again, not in the way the filmmakers intended. Like when I think about the fact that this is supposed to be in high school, I genuinely feel scared. But with that being said, I really enjoyed some of the musical numbers. Regina George and Janice have the best performances by far and carried this film. These two characters shined brilliantly, and the actresses carried every scene on their back, performing the best and most memorable musical numbers as well. From the choreography or cinematography of their numbers to the respective sets and outfits, they outshined the protagonist. However, in an attempt to do so by exaggerating everything for the sake of a musical, it came at the expense of losing the realistic high school feeling and charm of the original film.
Of course, then followed by in the spring, condoms and choking.
The world of Mean Girls 2024 feels like a millennial's interpretation of Gen Z high school, or a Gen Z's dream of what they wish high school was like, while taking a ton of visual inspiration from Euphoria.
Wait, is this a fucking play about us?
The Euphoria effect is strong here, and the movie reminded me of those cringy Netflix young adult films that you'd watch just to make fun of. And again, I know musicals are inherently whimsical and out of this world, but there needs to be some realism here, especially since it's based off a movie that was somewhat realistic to high school. Otherwise, what exactly is the point of making a movie set in high school if it's not going to be a believable school at all? That's sort of a minor critique I had with it, and I'm trying to be lenient with the fact that it's a musical, but still that should be said. And while I didn't like the whole social media aspect of the film, thinking it was also somewhat unrealistic and cringe, those effects and graphics included in World Burn were creative and very well done. Anytime I see a text message pop up on the screen or references to the online world, it really does kill the immersion, but I think within the context of the scene, it was well done. And I know I said I didn't want to compare the older film to this one, but I have to say that Regina George feels completely different from the original movie. I know there's going to be changes, but at what point does the change from the original create an entirely new character? Regina George is much more erotic and outwardly risque than she was before, especially in the way she sings, dresses, and acts, which is a clear departure from Rachel McAdams' take on the character.
Get in, loser.
I don't get the purpose of this change. Why is she so seductive? They're in high school. Like, aren't they supposed to be 16? Bro, when I was 16, I was too busy playing video games. Wait, maybe I shouldn't expose myself like that. Anyway, overall, I think Mean Girls 2024 is a pioneer in many ways. This feels like the start of a new era in filmmaking, where this sort of new Gen Z genre is going to emerge, whether or not we like that. especially with people my generation beginning to go out in the industry and bringing their flair to it. But I think the charm and success of the original film lies in the time it was made in. It was the perfect era for that type of movie to come out. Mean Girls, in a way, was ahead of its time. However, this new iteration blends in with a lot of movies marketed towards teenagers, such as Euphoria, Ms. Marvel, Bottoms, The Kissing Booth, or really whatever recent teenager film you could think of. So I may have been pretty mean girls with the film, but it has its fun moments. Sadly though, it wasn't really that fetch.